some gardening, and Kathy has decided to sunbathe. So getting straight into what I've been doing in the art studio this week, rather than doing a lot of artwork, I've been doing quite a bit of revising, researching and journaling this week. It's been quite a writing week for me personally. I write every week, but this week especially I've been putting the glasses on and the thinking hat on and just coming up with different ideas, plans, and just kind of getting a bit sorted, ready for the new month. But before I get onto the part of talking about what I've been researching, I will first of all tell you what arty things I've been doing in the studio this week. So since last week's video, as everyone knows who's watched that, I've started finally a new sketchbook. It is once again one of the Royal Talens sketchbooks. It's in like a periwinkle colour, and I believe there's about 80 pages I think in these sketchbooks that you can get. They are supposed to be for mixed media, but obviously you have to be a bit generous and careful with how much water you add on, because they do buckle quite badly and there is some transfer between markers through the opposite side of the page as well, so bleeding, things like that. So it's definitely a good sketchbook just to do doodles and rough ideas in them, but if you're wanting proper nice imagery, or you're wanting things that don't bleed through or thicker pages that don't buckle, this is probably not the type of sketchbook for you. But if you're just wanting to use it for inspo and just different ideas and jotting down and just kind of creating art but allowing yourself to be messy with it, I think it's a perfect sketchbook to have. So for today's sketching, I wanted to do like a storyboard themed sketch art piece. I've been having ideas since I first created paintings, like mixed media watercolour paintings of Aldrich and Ismini, which I'll insert an image now. And then I also did a cat-esque type woman with a tabby cat at the bottom of as well, which I will add in now image wise. I can't remember the names, so I will put them on text. I did create names for all these, and I've had these ideas of coming up with characters and kind of give them little stories and little storyboard kind of things to them. So that's what I did for Aldrich and Ismini. I did a sketch of Aldrich walking towards the ocean and some scenery and tree foliage around him with his little kind of like, I don't know what you call them, like a staff kind of thing, and then it's got Ismini the Raven on it as well. And then I thought for the other section I'd kind of do like 2-3 boxes, so it kind of looks more storyboard-esque and kind of outline them black. And so it's almost like a bit of like a storyboard / comic strip kind of look. And I did a little side profile of Aldrich, and then I did a bird's eye view of Ismini, and then also did just a little skip of the ocean. When sketching, I did a ton of mistakes. Aldrich's nose and eye I did like 6 times, especially for the side profile. I have gotten better over the years at doing faces, but side profiles, trying to get the nose and head proportion right is just absolutely baffles me still to this day. But I eventually got there. It did take me 6 times though, so I was constantly rubbing it out and then repeating it, and then I eventually felt happy with how the last sketch turned out of the nose and the eye proportion. This, like I say, is just a sketchbook, so I was only doing like a rough kind of sketch for these, and it was just really so I could get some products out that I haven't used in a while, and just kind of use a mixture of different mixed media and just kind of get random things on the page. This is probably one of the perks of having a sketchbook and sketchbooking in general. It's because there is like less pressure to have to create something perfect, and we can just kind of doodle what we feel like drawing anyway, and no matter how it comes out and whatever comes to our minds, we can kind of just get it onto the page, even though there will be mistakes to be made, but you don't have to almost care so much of the mistakes you are making. There is someone cutting the lawn outside, so I do apologise if you hear any noise. I only use my phone to record voiceovers, so I don't have anything to kind of muffle out background noise. So I do apologise if you hear anything. And then no matter how much mistakes we make, we can just try again, because once again, it doesn't matter how scruffy the page turns out, it's just kind of getting sketching and ideas out there, and just allows us to express ourselves rather than having to create a masterpiece that would have maybe had to have us spend hours on, especially if it's for somebody. Obviously we all know as artists that it can be quite nerve-wracking when you're creating art for someone else, But if it's just for sketchbooking and it's just for your personal fun, you can just allow yourself to do whatever, basically, without the fear of it having to be perfect or even good. You can like, I have loads of days where I draw things and I'm like really impressed with it, and then I have other days where I'm like 2 out of 10. But that's the perks of having a sketchbook. It just reminds ourselves that we can make mistakes, and the more mistakes we made, basically the better you end up getting at whatever you're trying to do artistically. And at the same time, you know, because we are all human at the end of the day, more mistakes will be made in the future regardless of how perfect you try to make something. And basically we're all human at the end of the day, and from the mistakes we can learn, and as long as you learn, you're never failing, really, are you? So one of the other things that I was wanting to use and dabble with was products that I don't usually use, art supplies that I don't really get out very often, though I've had them for quite a few years. So going in for colours, I did mix the Ecoline Royal Talens markers for the ocean on the left hand side, and then the trees, and then I did, which was the biggest sketch that I did, I then added some like loose scribble style using LYRA dual markers. I also used these for the ocean and just adding some rough line work. Once again, not going for perfection, just kind of getting random things on the page. I understand obviously an ocean wouldn't be this vivid really, but like I was saying, I just want to use the Ecoline pens, and I haven't used them, I think I've only used them once, and I forgot how cool these colours were. They were really pigmented and really easy to use. Then some watercolours for the sky and the small ocean picture on the right hand side. I went in with the Windsor & Newton Cotman watercolours. I just have them in this loose kind of pan that I've kind of set up years ago. I also did Aldrich's Coat on the left hand side with this, just to kind of give it like a little wash before I added more pen on top of it. Then adding white POSCA for the sea foam in the white, and for the Aldrich's wisps of hair on the side profile that I did for him. I usually use my Sakura jelly roll pens for any white highlights, but I think it's starting to run out, so I really need to order a new one. So I went in with the POSCA chunky white marker instead, did little wisps of hair, and then also went in with the STAEDTLER Pigment brush pens in the dark grey. I used this for the hair and the beard as well on Aldrich, and a little bit for his eyes, because I've tried kind of give this storyline for him that he's like a wise old man, but his meaning ribbon is his eyes, so he can't really see very well, so I kind of did his eyes like a muted whitey grey to kind of hint at the fact that his eyesight is not the best. I also went in with some of the Derwent Chromoflow and some of the STAEDTLER colouring pencils. I've had these for quite a while as well. I've had the Chromoflow for about 3 years now, and the STAEDTLER for about a year. Once again, I think I've used them maybe once or twice, so I got some of them out. I just kind of added that onto the trees and the branches. Some areas you couldn't really see where I was colouring, but I promised there was colour coming off from the pencil. And I used the pencils mainly on the left hand side picture. Like I say, don't really get the pencils out that often, so I was trying to get them out a bit more and incorporate them into a bit more of my artwork. I've used them for quite a few of the pages in this sketchbook now, so I'm getting there and I'm doing good. So incorporating different paintings into like storyboard-esque type sketches and paintings further down the line. I kind of want to add text to them as well and add almost like a story to them. A large goal of mine is I would love to illustrate like an actual book, or even write my own stories, but we shall see. It's always good to think above dreams and manifest them. You never know what might come true. In terms of what I've been doing studying wise and research wise, I have been really putting a lot of effort this week into websites and art business, and to see what in the future I could potentially sell in terms of products. I have so many hobbies and creative goings and outgoings that I sometimes find myself lost for what I truly want to do in my life and what I really want my future to be. All I know for my whole life is I've really wanted like my own kind of business, and that's what I am currently researching into, and just finding different things about things like copywriting on your art pieces and the laws and legislations of selling in the UK, and what you kind of have to do legally wise if you want your own website or business, depending on what area you obviously go into and what you sell. And just really thinking up different sketches and ideas of products that I would want to do, whether that's things I could sell now and do now and create now, and then things in the future that I really want to do and learn how to do. As like I say, I've got many hobbies. I think I definitely know which way I'm heading and leaning towards. I just need to do some final research bits and just really make sure that I know what I'm doing and what I'm thinking is correct. Know that I really want to sell on my own kind of website or platform. I have sold previously on things like Etsy and eBay, which are more like, I don't know whether they got called e-commerce sites. I'm not too aware of all the terms for these different types of sites, but it's basically a site where you can sell products, but the website that you sell on kind of covers in terms of like the postage packages and all the different things. You kind of just list the product, and then whenever it comes through, you just send it to whoever address comes up for that selling, which can make things easier. But I know from personal preference that for all I got some sales on eBay, Etsy, I got no sales, and I had artwork up there for about 2 to 3 years. And I just feel like the marketing side of that site has kind of gotten even harder. And the same with eBay, I've noticed that's kind of dwindled off. So I've removed everything off there as well. And that's why I've come to a head of trying to really research into things. There is some other platforms that I've been looking into, which is a bit like Etsy, and that's New Monday and Crafters Market UK. These type of things can always be easy just because, like I say, they kind of sort everything for you, whether that's like whether taxes, things like that, and with it being like already prepped there, and you kind of just have like a little page that's dedicated to your like almost shop, but obviously there's multiple people on that platform, so it isn't just you individually there. And obviously with it being a company, it has more marketing schemes on its own, so there's, yeah, you can market it in the sense of putting it in description boxes, putting it on your social medias, but in terms of that, there is also just general marketing from the site naturally as well, so your products can sometimes be seen a bit easier on those. But then the downside to them is obviously there is a vast market on there, so there is a lot of items, a lot of things, and that means it can be harder to be seen. Whereas if you create your own website, you might be seen a bit more, but then you have to do the marketing side all yourself, which I don't think I would really mind too much. I really enjoy kind of showing off art pieces and making social media posts. Like I say, I like writing as well and creating things, and I don't really find conversation and kind of putting myself out there too nerve-wracking. I would consider myself quite a chatterbox, and things when it comes to socialising and putting myself out there doesn't really make me too nervous. I tend to get anxious over silly things. So on top of all that as well, I've been looking into reviews. I've been seeing what people's been saying about these kinds of sites to sell on. I've also been looking at reviews across different websites on your own website builders, so your things like your Wix, your WordPress, your Shopify and Squarespace. And I was quite shocked to find that because I feel like when you watch YouTube videos, especially art related and business type videos, there is a lot of people who get sponsors and do promotions of places like Squarespace and your Shopify. Yet when I did my research, they had like some of the worst reviews and they had some of the worst ratings. There were some reviews where people were like they didn't understand why they were getting such bad reviews because they've had no problems with it. So I feel like these sites might just be very 50-50. You either have good luck or you have bad luck, unfortunately. In the same with Etsy and eBay, there was quite low bad reviews for them as well, saying that people were struggling to get in contact with customer services, like websites, Etsy like holding people's accounts and not letting them log in per se, or like freezing their shop almost, or holding funds. There's a few reviews of issues with that. So just been really looking into things, even though with website building, Squarespace or Shopify probably would have been the ones I would have went with, just because Wix and WordPress confused me a little bit more when I've been researching about them. But Wix, WordPress had a bit more better reviews, so I don't know. So just doing more research into that kind of stuff. I've also been, I know I kind of want to sell originals and do my own product making, but I have been looking into print on demands as well, because I was just curious if ever something did become successful or it did end up taking off to a point where it becomes more than a one-man job. I feel like a print on demand could be a potential benefit to have later down the line if it ever did become. These are just ideas and thoughts doubling off my head. And I went through a different bunch of those. There was things like Gelato, there was Printify, I think one of them was called. Printigi, I think was one as well. And different ones. There was a couple more than just that. And I was looking at the ratings for them. Some had really good reviews. I think one of them was called 215, was it? Some sites had really good reviews once again, then some had bad, saying delivery time was slow and they really struggled to get contact with customer services. So like anything, there is pros and cons to any site, whether that's sites you sell on, websites you're making, print on demand services. There is always going to be the negatives, and then there'll always be people who use the same resources that have a negative review that end up having a good experience. So it's very 50-50, and it's just, do you just take the chance even if there is bad reviews and just go with the flow and try and see it out for yourself, or do you go with the better ratings? It's just one of them things where it's quite confusing. That's what I've been researching these past couple of days, and I've been really looking into it. Aside from that, creative wise, I've also been really into making bookmarks. I've been giving a try of doing watercolour bookmarks, doing some loose flower designs, some jellyfish. I've also been, it's what I bought a hole puncher for. I've ended up trying to do little ribbon effects and seeing how I could do them on the bookmarks as well, or if I want to add charms, gems, that kind of thing. Just kind of giving everything a whirl. I did do a little bird feeder kind of bookmark as well, but I ended up, when I was rubbing it out, bending the card, so it did get a bit creased, which I do show in the video as well. And just trialing out different products that I want to do. I've also been looking into how to make earrings, because I'm a massive earring girly. I wear earrings all the time. I love earrings. I like wearing wacky designs, so I'm quite curious how you make them. I get the general part of putting the clasps together and putting the hoops on or the studs on. It's more in terms of, would I want to physically make them, or how would you make them out of them? Because I prefer sterling silver if it was going to be any type of metal, just because your standard copper, or they kind of like obviously discolour over time and tend to make people's ears itch and irritate. Or would I want to go down the clay route and kind of make clay earrings? So I don't know, but then I wouldn't want them to be too heavy as well. All these ideas running through my head. This has just become a bit of a rambling video. I do apologise, but I do hope this video has kind of been, even though it's just me rambling, I hope it's been enjoyable to watch me do this like storyboard of Aldrich and Ismini. And if you are interested in this kind of thing, feel free to let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try to do more story time-esque sketches or paintings and try and come up with stories and almost narrate the imagery if you want that. And if you've enjoyed the video, guys, feel free to give it a like and give a subscribe. It really does help out the channel. I will put in the description box the different products that I have used, and I will see you in next week's video, guys. Bye.